We've been discussing this, what the SEC may do. Are they going to stay at 8 with Oklahoma and Texas coming in next year? 8 conference games. Or are they going to go to 9? Nick Saban kind of threw a fit last week on what is rumored to be, if they go to 9, Alabama's 3 permanent opponents. Nobody feels sorry for Alabama or Nick Saban. It would be Auburn, Tennessee, and LSU. They're the number 1 recruiter. Right. They've been the number 1 recruiter with Georgia. We'll see. Tom, this debate is going to shake out here over the next 60 to 90 days. There's also some talk that if they do this, they may not play as many Power 5 non-conference games. Mm-hmm. And so we'll have more isolation in college football. And I don't think that's what people want. As somebody who flies all over the country to call games, and at times you get different conference matchups before everybody gets into conference play. Sure. I have been talked into the fact that it is good for the ACC and SEC and Big Ten and Big 12 and Pac-12 to play some football against each other rather than them never playing each other. What do you think, Tom Luginbill?
No, I agree. The problem is the coaches are always going to push back on that if you go to 9 games, and they're going to want to schedule a group of 5 or an FCS opponent early in the season and, of course, late in the season. That's their kind of nature of doing things, because particularly late in the year, and the SEC takes a lot of flack for this, but I don't fault them because I'd do the same thing, or I would want to. You get into the back half of that season, man, it is a battle of attrition. And if you don't have a bye fall in the right place, which most, if all, teams don't have a bye falling in the right place in the last 3 to 4 weeks, they look at that as a bit of a breather if they can schedule, a Western Carolina there, or pick your school, somebody that's
Wofford.
Not going to be Wofford. Somebody that's not going to be overly competitive for you. And now you get to play some of your young guys, rest some of your older guys. Not that you want to call it a bye week, but in essence, that's kind of how they're looking at it. So, yeah, would we have less opportunities to play Power 5 versus Power 5 from other conferences if you go to 9 games? Absolutely. I think the coaches would unanimously band together and say, all right, if we're doing this 9 thing, and I hope this wouldn't happen, but it could, because I think that kickoff weekend where you have the Chick-fil-A kickoff and you have some of these neutral site deals like we've had, in Arlington, and, you get an Alabama versus a Wisconsin, or you get, a Clemson versus, whoever, name your school, that you wouldn't normally see. It would be interested to see if those teams that have been more than willing to do those would now choose to opt out of them, because it's a big game against a big opponent. But if I'm an Alabama, Bo, I would opt to play that game early, because you're going to have distinct advantages personnel-wise and take advantage of a team that maybe doesn't know who they are yet.
True. That's a good point. An extra game is tough on some programs that have proven they can be really good at times. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas, South Carolina. Sometimes Kentucky, Missouri. And even that second tier of Auburn and Tennessee they're not in A&M, although I may put A&M in the Mississippi State, Ole Miss tier, considering they really haven't won big. We just talk about them because they are so big as far as resources and enrollment and money. But, you've got the elite, Luke's, in Alabama, Georgia, and LSU. Okay, those are the 3 teams in the league.
And Auburn can be.
And, no doubt. And I think Freeze will get them there, okay?
Yeah.
Combination of recruiting and transfers and how good he is with the QB. I think he can make up the gap at times, certain years, on Georgia, Bama, and LSU, especially at home, and beat them and put himself in position for the 12-team playoff. But on some years where you pull 4 at home and 5 on the road on a 9-game schedule, even an Auburn, Tennessee, A&M could find themselves in a bad spot and just trying to fight for a mid-tier bowl game, Tom.
Yeah, you could, and depending on how top to bottom strong the league is, what you brought up there, I kind of go back to some of the comments that Nick Saban said about his potential common 3 every year, and he doesn't like it. Well, if you were to base that opinion off of the last, let's just say, 7 years, then Alabama should be ecstatic about it being Auburn and LSU and Tennessee. But Nick Saban knows what Auburn and Tennessee are capable of being. And up until this past fall, I think over the last 10 years, Tennessee's won like 30% of their games. Like they haven't even been in the mix. So I think what worries Nick Saban is that he's aware of what Tennessee and Auburn are capable of being, and he's looking at it from that perspective, not from the perspective of what they've been the last 5 to 7 years. So now, to your point, if all of a sudden Auburn gets really good, Tennessee gets really good, Alabama we're going to assume is going to stay at or near the top. You've got Georgia. We don't know what's going to happen with Florida, ascending. Somebody's got to lose, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. No matter how good everybody gets, somebody is going to lose. And then you find yourself in a position where you could be a really good football team and maybe be a better football team than the top 2 to 3 teams in another Power 5 conference, but it won't matter.
Don't miss one moment of the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Weekdays, 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.